Blood. What is blood made from? Blood is made up of a watery fluid called plasma and billions of tiny blood cells. There are two types of blood cells in your blood: red blood cells and white blood cells. Red blood cells are needed for carrying oxygen around your body, while white blood cells fight any infection that might enter your body. Blood also contains tiny fragments called platelets, which help your blood to clot when you cut yourself. What does blood do? Blood has many functions in the body. It is the body's transport system carrying oxygen and nutrients to the body's cells and taking waste products away. White blood cells are like soldiers and defend the body from invading germs. When you cut yourself, platelets in your blood form a protective clot to protect and heal your body. Blood also helps to keep your body at the right temperature. When you get hot, your blood vessels expand and allow heat to escape through the skin. When your body is cold, your small blood vessels get smaller, allowing less heat to escape from your body. Why is blood red in color? You have many more red blood cells than white blood cells in your blood. Red blood cells contain red-colored chemical called hemoglobin, which gives your blood its red color. Red blood cells transport oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. It then picks up carbon dioxide, which is waste from the body, and returns it to the lungs where it is breathed out. The body needs iron to form hemoglobin. If there is a lack of iron in your body, you can become seriously ill. How is blood carried round the body? Blood travels round the body in three types of tubes called arteries, veins, and capillaries. Collectively, these are your blood vessels. Arteries are big and thick and carry blood away from the heart to all parts of the body. Veins are thinner than arteries and carry blood from all parts of the body back to the heart. The tiniest blood vessels are called capillaries, which connect arteries and veins and allow oxygen and food to pass into the body's cells. The tiny capillaries also pass on the waste again to veins. How much blood is in your body? As you grow, so the volume of blood in your body increases. Newborn babies have about 250 ml of blood, about a cup full, while an adult has around 5 liters of blood. About half of your blood is watery plasma. The rest is made up of cells and the nutrients and hormones which it carries. Your heart pumps around 300 liters of blood an hour, or all of your blood volume each minute. This adds up to an amazing 7,200 liters a day and 2.6 million liters of blood a year. That's over 700 swimming pools worth. Why does blood clot? When you cut or injure yourself, tiny fragments in your blood clump together to form a clot, which stops the bleeding and prevents germs from entering the wound. The clot seals the wound and also stops germs from entering the broken skin. The clot slowly hardens into a scab which protects the wound while it heals. How long can the blood vessels be stretched? If all the blood vessels in your body were joined together, they would stretch over 60,000 miles or 2.5 times round the earth. What is blood pressure? Heart is the organ responsible for pumping blood. The heart pumps blood into the aorta. The pressure or flow of blood in the aorta and its main branches is defined as blood pressure. The heart has to develop a high pressure so that blood can be pumped through the fine contraction of systolic phase. It is equal to that exerted by a column of 120 mm of mercury. In the relaxation of diastolic phase, it is about 80 mm of mercury. It is typically 120 to 80 in the artery of a resting adult person. It varies from person to person and is affected by age, sex, heredity, physical and emotional states, and other factors. Blood pressure is measured by an instrument called sphygmomanometer. What is blood transfusion? Blood is a very vital component of our body. In the case of serious injury, accident, or during an operation, we may lose considerable amount of blood from our body. Some diseases and health conditions also affect blood formation, causing blood deficiency or anemia. In all such cases, blood is introduced in our body to replenish the lost blood. This is called blood transfusion. Blood from a healthy person is transferred to the deficient person. The person who gives blood is called a donor, while the person who receives it is called the recipient. However, only a suitable donor can donate blood to a recipient. The recipient can approach the blood bank where blood collected from the donor is stored. Bones. What happens when you break a bone? A broken bone is called a fracture. A fracture may be open, where the broken bone sticks out through the skin, or closed, where the skin is not broken. If it is thought you may have a broken bone, an X-ray which shows a picture of the bones under the skin will be taken. The bone may then need pins to hold it together or a plaster cast to keep it in place until the break has mended. How many bones are there in your body? Most adults have 206 bones in their body, though a few people have an extra pair of ribs, giving those 208 bones. Your hands and feet have 110 bones between them, more than half of all the bones in your body. Babies are born with over 300 bones, but many of these fuse together as they grow. What are bones made of? Bones are made of proteins and minerals, which it gets from the food you eat. There are two types of bones. The outer hard layer of bone is called compact bone, which is made of tiny tubes called osteons. Inside the compact bone is a softer bone called spongy bone. Spongy bone contains bone marrow, which makes blood cells and stores fat. Which are the smallest and largest bones in your body? The smallest bone in your body is the stirrup bone or stapes inside your ear, which is only 2.5 millimeters long. The largest bone is the femur or thigh bone, which makes up 1/4 of your height. The femur is also the heaviest and strongest bone in your body. How do bones move? Bones can move because they have joints where two bones meet and muscles that are attached to them. Joints that have a lot of movement, such as your knee joint, are called synovial joints. The ends of the bones are covered with cartilage, which is smooth, and the joint secretes a fluid called synovial fluid, which together allows the bones to move without rubbing together. Muscles contract or get shorter and move the bones by pulling on them. How many pairs of ribs do you have? Most people have 12 pairs of ribs. Your ribs are long, curved bones that are attached to your spine at the back. In the front, some ribs are attached to your breastbone by cartilage. The top 7 pairs are called true ribs because they are attached to your breastbone. The next 3 pairs are connected to the lowest true rib by cartilage and are called false ribs. The last 2 pairs of ribs are called floating ribs because they do not reach round the front of your chest. Is a bone stronger than a steel bar? Bone is 5 times stronger than a steel bar of the same weight. Did you know that the human body has a tail? The coccyx is a very short, stubby bone at the base of the backbone. Luckily, we cannot see it on the outside. Digestion and excretion. What happens to food after you have swallowed it? After you have swallowed food, it travels down a tube called the esophagus and into your stomach. Your stomach is a bag where the food is mixed up with juices to form a liquid. It then passes into a tube called the small intestine. The food is broken up into useful molecules and proteins, which pass into your bloodstream and are carried to all parts of your body. Some of the dissolved food is carried to your liver. Your liver stores some useful parts of food such as vitamins and sugar and changes harmful substances such as alcohol, making them safer for the body. The remaining waste passes into another tube called the large intestine, where the water is absorbed and the waste becomes solid. The solid waste or feces passes through your bowels, which let you know when to go to the toilet. Why do we get hungry? We feel hungry if we don't eat for a long time. Our stomach becomes empty and our brain tells us that the blood is running out of energy. Hunger reminds the body that it needs to eat again. How long does it take for food to be digested? Digestion starts when you put something into your mouth and ends when the food particles pass into the bloodstream. Food stays in the stomach for 3 to 4 hours and then travels through about 8 meters of the small intestine. How much you eat, what you eat, and how long you chew food determines how long it takes to be digested. Normally, this is around 24 to 36 hours, with fatty foods taking the longest to be absorbed. How does your body get rid of waste? Your body gets rid of waste in different ways. Urine and feces are the waste products from eating and drinking. Carbon dioxide is waste that is produced by cells all over your body. When you breathe out, you get rid of carbon dioxide, which would otherwise poison your body. Sweating also helps get rid of excess waste from your body. How does the skin help excretion? Because it is the largest organ of the body, the skin plays a much more important role in excretion than you would imagine. We sweat out about 550 ml of sweat every day. Although most of this is water, sweat also contains chemicals and salts that the body doesn't need. Some foods, particularly herbs and spices such as garlic, can make your sweat smell garlicky as the unwanted toxins are released through the skin. What do your kidneys do? Kidneys are bean-shaped organs which are situated on either side of your back. Your kidneys filter unwanted water and waste products from your blood to form urine. Urine passes into tubes called ureters from the kidneys and is then stored in the bladder. When the bladder fills, you get the urge to go to the toilet. Urine passes from the bladder out of the body through another tube called the urethra. How much waste do you produce? The amount of urine you produce depends on how much you drink, but an adult passes about 1,500 ml of urine a day. Added up over a lifetime, your body makes enough urine to fill 500 bathtubs. Every year, your body produces about 50 kg of solid waste, or enough to fill a cement mixer in an average lifetime. How much will you eat in your lifetime? You will eat about 30,000 kg of food in your lifetime, or the equivalent weight of 6 elephants. Why do we put on weight? Food produces energy and makes our body strong. If we eat more than our body needs, the food will not be used up. Instead, it will be stored in our body as fat and we put on weight. How do you digest food? The digestion begins in the mouth itself. The teeth break bulk food into smaller pieces by chewing. The saliva mixes with the food and converts starch into sugar. Then through the food pipe, the food enters the stomach. Gastric juice in the stomach contains different enzymes which act on the food and convert it into simpler forms. The food then moves to the duodenum. Here the food mixes with bile juice made by liver and stored in the gallbladder and the pancreatic juice from the pancreas. The food, by the action of various enzymes, breaks down in the simplest soluble substances. Now from the duodenum, the food enters the lower parts of the small intestine known as ileum, where the absorption of digested food takes place. The undigested food now moves down to the large intestine. Here water is absorbed and the solid residue forms feces, which passes to the rectum, and then it is ejected from the body through the anus. How does your kidney work? The urinary system in human beings consists of 2 kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. The reddish-brown, bean-shaped kidneys are situated at the back of the abdominal cavity, one on each side of the vertebral column. The kidneys are made up of a large number of coated tube-shaped filters called nephrons. They carry nitrogenous waste material and excess water from the blood and form urine, which passes via ureters to the urinary bladder. When the bladder gets filled with urine, it is exerted through the urethra by contraction of muscles around the urinary bladder. Waste material removal is important for all living organisms. Normal kidney function is essential for good health. Endocrine system. What is a gland? A gland is an organ which produces a chemical substance that regulates the metabolic activities of the body. There are two kinds of glands. Exocrine glands have ducts leading to the outside. Sweat glands are exocrine glands that secrete sweat through coiled ducts to the surface of the skin. Digestive glands are exocrine glands which secrete digestive juices in the stomach and intestine. Salivary glands are also exocrine glands producing saliva. Endocrine glands are ductless glands. They produce hormones. These are chemical messengers released directly into the bloodstream and are used to control metabolic activities such as growth and development. One of the most important endocrine glands is the pituitary gland, which is situated in the brain. This is called the master gland because it secretes several hormones. Human body. Hair and nails. Why do we have hair and nails? Your body is covered with hair, which helps to keep you warm. When it is very cold, your hairs stand on end, which traps an insulating layer of warm air around the body. Nails protect the tips of your fingers and toes and make them stronger. They are also useful for scratching and picking up tiny objects. Why do people have different color hair? A pigment called melanin found in hair and skin is what gives people their hair and skin color. The darker your hair color, the more melanin you have. People with very blonde hair have very little melanin in their hair. Those with red and brown hair have a bit more, while those with black hair have a lot of melanin. As people get older, their hair starts to lose some of the melanin and becomes gray. How fast do your hair and nails grow? Hair and nails grow quite slowly. Your hair grows about 0.5 millimeters a day or about 18 centimeters a year. A hair on your head can grow for about 6 years before it falls out. Beards are the fastest growing hairs on the human body. Nails grow at about 0.5 millimeters a week. Toenails grow more slowly than fingernails, and it takes about 6 months for a nail to grow from the base to the tip. How many hairs are on your body? You have hair everywhere on your body except on your lips, the palms of your hands, and the soles of your feet. Some hair on your body is very fine and may be difficult to see. You have about 5 million hairs all over your body, and about 1 lakh of these are on your head. Every day you lose 50 to 100 hairs, but you don't notice most of them because you have so many hairs and new hairs are constantly growing. Why do some people have curly hair while others have straight hair? Your hair grows out of millions of tiny holes in your skin called follicles. Your hair is curly, straight or wavy depending on the shape of your hair follicles. Straight hair grows from round follicles, wavy hair grows from kidney-shaped follicles, and curly hair grows from oval follicles. Why doesn't it hurt when your hair and nails are cut? Hair and nails are made from a substance called keratin, which is also found in the outer layer of your skin. Your hair and nails don't have any nerves, so not only do they not feel any pain, but they don't feel anything at all. How do nails grow? Like hairs and the outer layer of skin, nails are made of keratin. The main sheet or plate of the nail is dead. It is only alive at its root, which is hidden under the skin of the finger or toe. As the nail lengthens from its root, it slides along the nail bed toward the tip of the finger or toe. How long can we grow fingernails? Most people keep their nails neatly trimmed to prevent snags and breaks. But some people let them grow and grow until they reach more than 27.5 inches long. Who has the longest fingernails? The longest fingernails in the world belong to Lee Redmond from America. Their total length is 6 meters. Heart. What does your heart look like? Your heart looks only a little like the hearts you draw. It is more rounded and lies on its side in the chest. It is divided in two halves by a thick wall. The heart is divided into 4 parts called chambers. There are 2 chambers at the top and 2 at the bottom of the heart. The widest blood vessels in your body carry blood to and from your heart as it pumps your blood to every part of your body. How does your heart beat? Your heart beats by contracting or squeezing. First, your heart rests for a very short time while the 2 top chambers fill with blood. The top chambers then contract, pushing the blood into the bottom chambers. The walls of the bottom chambers are made of thick muscle, and when they contract, blood is pushed into the main arteries and then to the lungs and the rest of the body. The left side of the heart gets its blood from the lungs, which contains a lot of oxygen, and pumps it to all parts of the body. The right side of the heart collects blood from the body, where most of the oxygen has been used up, and pumps it to the lungs to pick up more oxygen. Each time this happens, it is 1 heartbeat. How big is your heart? Your heart is a big muscle in your chest. It is about the size of your fist and sits a little to the left of your breastbone, just behind your ribs. The heart muscle is very strong because it needs to pump blood to all parts of the body without ever stopping. How fast does your heart beat? A baby's heart beats about 120 to 180 times a minute when it is born. It slows down a bit as we grow, and a child's heart beats at about 100 times a minute, while an adult has a heart rate of about 70 beats a minute. When you exercise, your heart beats much faster to carry more oxygen and food to your muscles. Your heart beats about 1 lakh times a day. That's 35 million times a year. What do you hear through a stethoscope? Each time your heart beats, it makes the sound lub-dub. Inside your heart and main blood vessels, which take blood from your heart to the rest of your body, are valves. The valves open to let blood through and then quickly close again to stop the blood running back again. Lub-dub is the sound of the valves opening and closing with each heartbeat. A doctor's stethoscope picks up and amplifies this sound so that the doctor can check your heartbeat is sounding healthy. How much blood does your heart pump? An adult's body contains about 5 liters of blood and pumps out around 7,500 liters of blood a day, or about 7 ml with each beat. It takes only 20 seconds for your heart to pump blood to every part of your body. In the average lifetime, a person's heart will pump about 1 million barrels of blood. That is enough to fill more than 3 super tankers. How fast can a heart pump? When you are very active, your heart can pump 90 liters of blood each minute. This is enough to fill a bath in 2 minutes. What causes heart attack? The human body is a very complicated and wonderful system. However, sometimes a part of the body or an organ might not function properly, leading to health problems. The very common case of that in a person is heart attack. The arteries may get considerably narrowed down or choked due to the gradual deposition of a fat-like substance called cholesterol. This restricts the flow of blood in the arteries. This makes the heart work more, and it becomes beyond the capacity of the heart to supply enough volumes of blood as the demand of body goes on. This results in hard labor of heart to pump blood to tissues, and the failure results in what we call heart attack. Hardening or stiffening of the arteries also causes heart attack. Other heart-related problems could be malfunctioning of the valves of the heart or its pacemaker system. Blood clots in blood vessels cause blockage of vessels, leading to heart-related problems. Immune system. What is an antibiotic? A germ-killing drug is called an antibiotic. Usually, antibiotics are prepared from living organisms, though we have some of them synthetically prepared. Some examples are penicillin, streptomycin, chloramphenicol, ampicillin, and tetracycline. Penicillin is the safest of them all ever since its first use in 1941, having been discovered in 1929. However, The use of antibiotics has resulted in a new resistant strain of bacteria. A prolonged use of antibiotics may be harmful, so care must be taken in their use. Muscles. How many types of muscles are there? There are 3 types of muscles in your body. Skeletal muscles are used to move all parts of your body. Visceral muscle is found in your internal organs such as your stomach, lungs and intestines, as well as in your large blood vessels. It is also called involuntary muscle as you can't control its movements. The walls of your heart are made of a specialized muscle called cardiac muscle, which keeps contracting for all of your life. How do your muscles work? All muscles are made up of fibers. Skeletal muscles are attached to bones and can only contract or get shorter. Because they can only pull and not push, muscles usually work in pairs. One muscle moves a bone in one direction and its partner pulls it back again. When you want to move, your brain sends messages to the correct muscles telling them to contract. This makes your muscles shorter and pulls the bones with them, causing you to move. How many muscles do you have in your body? Most of the muscles in your body are called skeletal muscles, and these are the muscles that you use to move. There are 640 skeletal muscles that help you do everything from walking to blinking your eyes. Cardiac muscle is only found in the heart. It would be impossible to count visceral muscles because they are shaped in layers, sheets, bags and tubes and are found inside your organs. Which is the strongest muscle in your body? You might think that the strongest muscle in your body is in your bottom or your legs, but in fact it is the masseter muscle which is found on either side of your jaw that is the most powerful in your body. They move your jaw and are used for biting and chewing food. Which are the biggest and smallest muscles in your body? The biggest muscle in your body is the gluteus maximus in your bottom. You use this muscle to run, jump and walk upstairs. It is also a very useful cushion for sitting on. The smallest muscle is the stapedius, which is attached to the tiny stirrup bone in your inner ear. Why do your muscles sometimes ache after exercise? When you do a lot of exercise, your muscles need a lot more energy to work properly. This energy produces lactic acid, which your body cannot dispose of quickly enough. This acid damages the muscle fibers, leading to an aching feeling. Luckily, the damage is not permanent and the muscle soon recovers. However, too much lactic acid will eventually stop your muscles from working, which is one of the reasons that exhausted marathon runners can collapse. How fast do the muscles in your eyelids work? Muscles in your eyelids can make you blink up to 5 times a second. Nerves and the spinal cord. How do you think? Your brain is divided into different areas, each one with a different job to do. The part of the brain that controls your thoughts is in the front of your brain, called the frontal lobe. Nerve cells in your brain, called neurons, pass signals to each other and are connected to the rest of your body. Your brain can tell where the signals are coming from and interprets the messages like, "My feet are cold," or "I've pricked my finger." What does your brain do? Your brain is your body's control center. Everything you do, see, hear, feel and taste is controlled by your brain. Your brain also controls things like your breathing and how fast your heart beats, as well as all your movements. Everything you think, dream and feel comes from your brain. How big is your brain? Humans have the most complicated and heaviest brains for their size out of any animal. Brains are wrinkled, which saves space in the skull. If the wrinkles were stretched out, the brain would be 3 times bigger. An adult's brain weighs around 1.3 to 1.4 kg. A newborn baby's brain is about 350 grams. Other animals may have bigger brains than humans, but they are also very much larger animals. Although an elephant's brain weighs 6 kg, a whole elephant can weigh over 9 tons. In contrast, a rat's brain is only 2 grams. How does your brain send messages around the body? Your brain is connected to the rest of your body by the spinal cord, a huge nerve center which is inside your backbone. Smaller nerves branch off the spinal cord to all parts of your body. Some nerve cells send messages from sense organs such as the skin, ears or tongue. These are called sensory neurons. Other nerve cells, called motor neurons, carry messages from the brain to your muscles, telling them to contract. Many of the large nerves in your body contain sensory and motor neurons. Does your brain go to sleep? Nobody knows why we need to sleep. It might be that the body and brain need some time to rest, and without sleep, we cannot think properly. While you are sleeping, your brain is still active. We all have about 5 dreams each night, though we only remember a dream if we wake up in the middle of it. When you dream, your brain is as active as it is when you are awake. What is a stroke? A stroke is a form of injury to the brain. When a stroke occurs, the flow of blood to a part of the brain suddenly stops, thereby injuring all the structures connected with that part. There can be many reasons for the occurrence of stroke. A blood vessel may have ruptured, causing a hemorrhage. In another case, a clot may form within a blood vessel. There may be a spasm of an artery. A blood vessel may have got closed because of a small particle floating in the bloodstream. The causes of stroke are many, but the resultant effect is the same. It damages that part of the brain through which passes the nerves that control our voluntary motions, our sensations of pain, our temperature, touch and vision. These damages could be fatal and the person could become permanently disabled. Why are some people right-handed and others left-handed? The brain is made up of two halves. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. Most people are right-handed because the left side of the brain is used more than the right. About 10% of people are left-handed. Each side of the brain is also used for different activities, with the right side being more artistic than the left. How many nerve cells are there in the brain? There are more than 10 billion nerve cells in your brain. When nerve cells die, they cannot be replaced. However, if your brain is damaged, some of the cells may take on other functions. What do nerves do? Your body contains a network of nerves that reach all parts of your body. Nerves are like bundles of tiny wires that carry signals around the body. Some nerves receive messages from the brain which then tell your muscles to move. Other nerve endings pass signals to the brain from a sense organ such as the skin, eyes, nose or tongue. Nerves also protect you from danger by making your body react before the message even reaches your brain. This is called a reflex reaction. For example, if you touch something hot, your nerves tell you to move your hand away before your brain even registers that you have touched it. How long is the spinal cord? The spinal cord is the main connection between your brain and the nerves around your body. It runs down your back and is protected by your bony spinal column. In men, the spinal cord is about 45 centimeters and in women it is 43 centimeters. The cord is shorter than your spinal column and ends at the top of your lower back. It then branches into smaller nerves which run lower down the spinal column. How fast do nerve signals travel? Nerves are like bundles of tiny wires that carry signals around the body. Signals are carried along the nerves to and from all parts of the body and inside the brain too. There are around 30,000 million nerve cells in your body which can send signals at speeds of up to 267 miles an hour, which is as fast as an aeroplane. So if you cut your toe, it only takes a tiny fraction of a second for the nerve signals to travel from your toe to your brain. What does the spinal cord do? Your spinal cord is a bundle of nerves which is about as thick as your thumb, which connects your brain to the rest of your body. It is protected by your backbone, which are rings of bone that the spinal cord runs through. Smaller nerves branch off the spinal cord and carry messages to and from your brain and body. An injury to the spinal cord can cause paralysis. Once damaged, the spinal cord can never be fixed. Which is the longest nerve in your body? The longest and largest nerve in your body is the sciatic nerve. This nerve runs from your lower spine through your buttocks to your lower leg. Sciatica is a nerve pain people sometimes feel from irritation or pressure to the sciatic nerve. What are cranial nerves? Cranial nerves bring information to and from the brain through the skull. You have 12 pairs, one set for each side of the body. Some of these nerves are connected to the sense organs and are needed for balance, smelling, tasting, hearing, and touch on the face and scalp. Others control muscles or are connected to glands or internal organs such as the lungs and heart. How long are the nerves? If all the nerves in your body were laid end to end, they would measure about 47 miles. Nerves and the spinal cord. How do you think? Your brain is divided into different areas, each one with a different job to do. The part of the brain that controls your thoughts is in the front of your brain, called the frontal lobe. Nerve cells in your brain, called neurons, pass signals to each other and are connected to the rest of your body. Your brain can tell where the signals are coming from and interprets the messages like, "My feet are cold," or "I've pricked my finger." What does your brain do? Your brain is your body's control center. Everything you do, see, hear, feel and taste is controlled by your brain. Your brain also controls things like your breathing and how fast your heart beats, as well as all your movements. Everything you think, dream and feel comes from your brain. How big is your brain? Humans have the most complicated and heaviest brains for their size out of any animal. Brains are wrinkled, which saves space in the skull. If the wrinkles were stretched out, the brain would be 3 times bigger. An adult's brain weighs around 1.3 to 1.4 kg. A newborn baby's brain is about 350 grams. Other animals may have bigger brains than humans, but they are also very much larger animals. Although an elephant's brain weighs 6 kg, a whole elephant can weigh over 9 tons. In contrast, a rat's brain is only 2 grams. How does your brain send messages around the body? Your brain is connected to the rest of your body by the spinal cord, a huge nerve center which is inside your backbone. Smaller nerves branch off the spinal cord to all parts of your body. Some nerve cells send messages from sense organs such as the skin, ears or tongue. These are called sensory neurons. Other nerve cells, called motor neurons, carry messages from the brain to your muscles, telling them to contract. Many of the large nerves in your body contain sensory and motor neurons. Does your brain go to sleep? Nobody knows why we need to sleep. It might be that the body and brain need some time to rest, and without sleep, we cannot think properly. While you are sleeping, your brain is still active. We all have about 5 dreams each night, though we only remember a dream if we wake up in the middle of it. When you dream, your brain is as active as it is when you are awake. What is a stroke? A stroke is a form of injury to the brain. When a stroke occurs, the flow of blood to a part of the brain suddenly stops, thereby injuring all the structures connected with that part. There can be many reasons for the occurrence of stroke. A blood vessel may have ruptured, causing a hemorrhage. In another case, a clot may form within a blood vessel. There may be a spasm of an artery. A blood vessel may have got closed because of a small particle floating in the bloodstream. The causes of stroke are many, but the resultant effect is the same. It damages that part of the brain through which passes the nerves that control our voluntary motions, our sensations of pain, our temperature, touch and vision. These damages could be fatal and the person could become permanently disabled. Why are some people right-handed and others left-handed? The brain is made up of two halves. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. Most people are right-handed because the left side of the brain is used more than the right. About 10% of people are left-handed. Each side of the brain is also used for different activities, with the right side being more artistic than the left. How many nerve cells are there in the brain? There are more than 10 billion nerve cells in your brain. When nerve cells die, they cannot be replaced. However, if your brain is damaged, some of the cells may take on other functions. What do nerves do? Your body contains a network of nerves that reach all parts of your body. Nerves are like bundles of tiny wires that carry signals around the body. Some nerves receive messages from the brain, which then tell your muscles to move. Other nerve endings pass signals to the brain from a sense organ such as the skin, eyes, nose or tongue. Nerves also protect you from danger by making your body react before the message even reaches your brain. This is called a reflex reaction. For example, if you touch something hot, your nerves tell you to move your hand away before your brain even registers that you have touched it. How long is the spinal cord? The spinal cord is the main connection between your brain and the nerves around your body. It runs down your back and is protected by your bony spinal column. In men, the spinal cord is about 45 centimeters and in women it is 43 centimeters. The cord is shorter than your spinal column and ends at the top of your lower back. It then branches into smaller nerves which run lower down the spinal column. How fast do nerve signals travel? Nerves are like bundles of tiny wires that carry signals around the body. Signals are carried along the nerves to and from all parts of the body and inside the brain too. There are around 30,000 million nerve cells in your body which can send signals at speeds of up to 267 miles an hour, which is as fast as an aeroplane. So if you cut your toe, It only takes a tiny fraction of a second for the nerve signals to travel from your toe to your brain. What does the spinal cord do? Your spinal cord is a bundle of nerves which is about as thick as your thumb, which connects your brain to the rest of your body. It is protected by your backbone, which are rings of bone that the spinal cord runs through. Smaller nerves branch off the spinal cord and carry messages to and from your brain and body. An injury to the spinal cord can cause paralysis. Once damaged, the spinal cord can never be fixed. Which is the longest nerve in your body? The longest and largest nerve in your body is the sciatic nerve. This nerve runs from your lower spine through your buttocks to your lower leg. Sciatica is a nerve pain people sometimes feel from irritation or pressure to the sciatic nerve. Nutrition and vitamins. What does food contain? Food is not just needed to fill us up and ward off hunger. It contains hundreds of substances that your body must have to stay fit and healthy and to work well. How is sunshine helpful to our body? Sunlight destroys certain fungi and bacteria that have settled on the skin. It causes the white blood cells of phagocytes to become more active. These are the cells which attack disease germs in our body and help keep us healthy. When sunlight strikes the skin, certain substances are sent into the blood, which gives the muscles new tone. The muscles become tenser and thus we can work better. In fact, our nervous system gets a kind of charge from sunlight so that we feel stimulated and want to move about. Another major importance of sunlight is that it produces vitamin D in our body. The ultraviolet light helps in the production of vitamin D in the skin. At the same time, excess exposure to sun rays is also not good, especially for people having heart troubles and lung diseases, as it raises their blood pressure. Respiration. Why do you need to breathe? Oxygen is a gas that is in the air you breathe. You need oxygen to keep you alive and for your body to work. Your lungs are made of tiny sacs with very thin walls that allow the oxygen to move into the bloodstream, where it is taken to all parts of the body. Waste gases are removed when you breathe out. If your lungs stop working properly due to illness or smoking, you may need to use an oxygen bottle or ventilator to ensure you receive enough oxygen to survive. How do you breathe in and out? Your breathing is controlled by muscles between your ribs called intercostal muscles and your diaphragm, which is a sheet of strong muscle underneath the lungs. To breathe in, your intercostal muscles shorten and your diaphragm flattens, allowing your lungs to expand. This draws air through your mouth, down your airway and into the lungs. To breathe out, the intercostal muscles and diaphragm relax, squeezing your lungs and forcing the stale air up and out of your body. What are hiccups? Hiccups are caused when the muscle under your lungs, the diaphragm, spasms, suck in air very fast. When this happens, your vocal cords snap shut, making the hiccup sound. Eating or drinking too quickly or a sudden fright can cause hiccups. Holding your breath or sipping water can sometimes help cure the hiccups. There are also many weird and wonderful cures for the hiccups, such as giving the sufferer a shock or putting a cold key down the back of their neck. These cures probably rely mostly on making the sufferer forget that they have the hiccups. How fast do you breathe? Adults breathe about 10 to 14 times a minute, but this may be as fast as 50 or 60 breaths a minute while exercising, as the body needs more oxygen. Adults take in about 500 ml of air with each breath, but a man can take in about 6,000 ml of air and a woman 4,000 to 5,000 ml of air if he or she breathes in very deeply. How do your lungs work? Air that you breathe in moves down your windpipe and then go into two branches which each lead to a lung. Inside your lungs, the airways divide into smaller and smaller tubes. At the end of the smallest tubes are bunches of minute sacs called alveoli. Tiny blood vessels are wrapped around each alveoli and air passes back and forth from the alveoli and the blood in the vessels. Why do you sneeze? Sneezing is a way your body protects itself. Dust, dirt and smoke can irritate your nose, which causes you to sneeze. When you sneeze, you breathe in deeply and your tummy muscles contract and get harder, pushing air out of your lungs and out through your nose, blowing mucus and the irritant out. A sneeze can be as fast as 100 miles an hour. How much air will you breathe in your lifetime? You will breathe out enough air in your lifetime to blow up 138 hot air balloons. How do you speak? Speech is one of the most complex and delicate operations undertaken by our body and larynx in the body's voice box. It contains the vocal cords which vibrate to produce speech. The larynx is seated at the top of the windpipe near the center of the neck. The vocal cords consist of two delicate ligaments shaped like the lips, which open and close as air passes through them. When the air from the lungs is expelled over the cords, the vibration of the cords produces sound. The loudness of the voice is controlled by the force with which the air is expelled and the pitch by the length of the cords. Men have long vocal cords to have heavier voices. Women generally have smaller larynx. Each sound in any language is determined by slightly different movements of the lips, tongue, teeth, and of the mouth. Sensory organs. How do you see? Rays of light pass through the pupil in your eye, which is like a small hole. Behind each pupil is a lens which bends light so that it shines on an area at the back of your eye called the retina. This makes an upside-down picture on the retina of what you are seeing. The optic nerves in your eyes send this information to your brain, which lets you see it the right way up. Why do your pupils change size? Your pupil is the black circle in the middle of the colored part of your eye. It is actually a hole in your eye that lets light in. Your eyes work just like a camera. When it is bright, your eyes do not need to let so much light in for you to see, so the muscles of the iris, the colored part of your eye, contract, making the pupil hole smaller. In dim light, the iris expands to make the pupil as large as possible to allow all the available light to enter your eye. Why do you have tears? Your eyes constantly make tears, which stops your eyes from drying out. Tears contain proteins that kill germs, helping prevent infections in your eyes. You blink about 15 times every minute, spreading the tears across your eyes. Extra tear fluid drains through a small tube into your nose, which is why your nose also runs when your eyes water or you are crying. Why are people's eyes of different colors? The color of your eyes depends on the amount of pigment that is in the iris. Brown eyes have a lot of pigment, while blue eyes have a little. You inherited your eye color from your parents. The most common eye color is brown. If one of your parents has brown eyes and the other has blue eyes, your eyes will most likely be brown. What is color blindness? A person who is colorblind cannot tell the difference between certain colors, most often red and green. This is a condition which is inherited and about 10% of males have it. It is very rare in females. Do carrots help you see in the dark? Carrots are rich in vitamin A, which is necessary for seeing in dim light. If your body doesn't get enough vitamin A, you will be less able to see in the dark. But carrots aren't the only food that is high in vitamin A. Other foods such as mangoes, milk, spinach, and egg yolks will also help you see in the dark. The story that carrots help you to see in the dark originated during World War II as an explanation for how the British night fighter pilots were able to see German planes in the dark. Of course, the real reason was that the British had radar, which was a top secret at that time. Do we have tears in our eyes only when we cry? A lot of tears flow from our eyes when we cry. These are visible to us. However, some tears are always present in the eyes, which help wash away the dust and keep our eyes healthy. Why do some people need glasses? As light enters our eyes, it passes through a lens. This lens bends the rays of light to focus them at the back of the eye. But in some people, the lens cannot bend the light rays properly. They see a fuzzy image. Glasses help them to see clearly by focusing the light rays at the back of the eye. Why do animals' eyes shine in the dark? This is because their eyes reflect light back, so if you shine a light on them, the reflection can be seen in the dark. A man called Edwin Shaw from England noticed this and made cat's eyes from glass which were set in rubber and placed in the middle of roads, helping drivers stay on the road in the dark. How do you smell? Smells consist of small particles called odorants. These enter your nose and are detected by special hairs called cilia on your olfactory cells. These scent particles dissolve in mucus in the nose, and nerve signals are sent via the hairs to your brain, which recognizes the smell. What is your tongue used for? Your tongue performs many functions. By providing a large surface area in your mouth, it allows your food to react easily with your taste buds. Because it is moist, it allows food to dissolve onto the surface of the tongue to aid digestion. The tongue also helps transport this food to the back of the throat for swallowing. Importantly for humans, your tongue is vital for forming words. Without it, we could not speak. Finally, doctors like to look at your tongue as it is a good indicator of your general health. What are taste buds? If you look closely at your tongue, you will see it is covered in hundreds of tiny little bumps. These bumps contain your taste buds, and there are thousands of them. Your taste buds are chemical receptors that sense the different chemicals in your food and send signals to your brain. Some taste buds react to sugar, so the more sugar a food contains, a stronger sweet signal is sent to your brain. How many smells can humans detect? If your nose is working at its best, you can detect between a massive 4,000 to 10,000 smells. As you get older, your sense of smell deteriorates, so you can probably smell better than your parents or grandparents. Animals can smell a lot better than humans. A dog's sense of smell is at more than 1,000 times better than humans, and a male emperor moth can smell a female mate 7 miles away. Why can't you taste properly when you have a cold? Your sense of smell is a lot stronger than your sense of taste. When you taste food, you rely on its smell and texture as well. So when you have a cold and your nose is blocked, your sense of smell is reduced, making you unable to taste your food as when you are normal. What makes your mouth water? Saliva is the fluid made by glands in your mouth. It mixes with food and together with your teeth mashes the food up and makes it easy to swallow. When you smell something you know to be delicious, your brain recognizes smell and sends signals to your mouth to make more saliva. How much saliva do you produce in your lifetime? You will produce about 26,300 liters of saliva in your lifetime, enough to fill 2 standard-size swimming pools. Why does our nose run? Inside our nose there is a moist lining. When we catch a cold, the lining makes more moisture to try and wash the germs out, making our nose run. Skin. How do bruises appear? If we hurt ourselves, we can get an injury under the skin. Blood vessels break and spread into the tissue near the injury. The dark color of the blood shows through the skin as a bruise. What does your skin do? Skin provides a waterproof protective covering for your body. It keeps your body fluids in and infection out. Your skin also shields you from the sun's harmful rays and controls your body temperature. Because it contains nerve endings, your skin is sensitive to touch, pressure, warmth, cold or pain. Why do you sweat? Sweat is your body's way of getting rid of excess heat. When you get hot, small blood vessels in your skin expand and draw heated blood to the surface. As sweat evaporates from your skin, it draws heat away from the blood vessels. Cooler blood then circulates in your blood vessels, cooling you down. How old is your skin? Every minute of the day, your skin sheds between 30 and 40,000 dead skin cells. Indeed, most of the dust in your house is made from dead skin cells. Rubbing your skin roughly will increase this rate. It takes your body about 1 month to have replaced every cell in your skin. Skin creams and lotions will help to keep the skin moist and supple. Why do people get wrinkles as they get older? When you are young, your skin is soft and supple. This means that when it stretches, it can snap back into shape, leaving a smooth surface. As you get older, your skin becomes less elastic. When it stretches, it cannot shrink all the way back. This stretched skin folds into the wrinkles we see on older people. Why do you get bruises? Bruises happen when you bang or bump yourself, damaging the muscle fibers and body tissues without breaking your skin. Small blood vessels in the damaged area are broken and blood escapes out of them under the skin. Because there is no break in the skin, the blood is trapped and forms red or purple marks on the skin. These change color over time as the blood is reabsorbed and then gradually fade away. What are goosebumps? When you are cold, the blood vessels in your skin get narrower and you hardly sweat at all. Tiny muscles in your skin make your hairs stand up, which traps air around your body to keep you warm. This forms bumps on your skin called goosebumps or goose pimples. You don't have long or thick hair on your body, but millions of years ago, people probably had a lot more hair on their bodies, so this reflex would have worked very well. Do people have the same fingerprint pattern? No two people in the world have the same fingerprint pattern. This is why fingerprints are used to identify people. Teeth. Why do our teeth decay? The food that we eat sticks to our teeth and germs thrive on it. As germs feed, they produce acid that can wear holes or cavities in our teeth. What is inside your teeth? There are two main parts to a tooth. The root is the part inside the gum which holds the tooth in place. The white part above the gum is covered in hard white enamel, which is the hardest substance in your body. The center of the tooth is soft and contains blood vessels and nerves. How many teeth do you have? Most people get two sets of teeth, one after the other. Young children get their first set of teeth, called milk teeth, from about the ages of 6 months to 3 years. There are 20 milk teeth. From the age of about 6 years, your milk teeth start falling out and are replaced by adult teeth, which cannot be replaced. Most adults have 32 teeth, though some adults don't get the 4 back wisdom teeth, so only have 28 teeth. Why are teeth of different shapes? If you look at your teeth, you will see that there are 3 different shapes. This is because different teeth need to do different jobs. The front teeth, called incisors, are narrow and sharp and are used for biting and cutting food up, like biting into an apple. Next to them are the canines. They are pointed for tearing and ripping food apart. The back teeth are molars, which are wide and flat for grinding and crushing the food that you eat, helping to make it soft for you to swallow. Why don't young babies have teeth? Even before babies are born, they have teeth. They are like tiny buds deep in the gums. Very occasionally, a baby may be born with one tooth already growing out of the gums. Babies don't need teeth until they start to eat solid food at around the age of 6 months. So the teeth stay in the gums where they are protected until they are needed. What is toothache? You may have felt toothache, which can be very painful. It is often felt as a throbbing pain which gets worse when you eat or drink, especially hot or cold things. Toothache can be caused by a cavity or hole in the tooth, which makes the nerve in the tooth more sensitive. Other causes might be an abscess with infection around the tooth or gum, or bits of food trapped between the teeth. It is important to see a dentist if your teeth are painful. Why do you get tooth decay? Plaque is a whitish deposit that forms on your teeth, which causes tooth decay. This is formed mostly from bits of old food and germs that are found in your mouth. Sugar and bacteria eat through the enamel coating on your teeth. Your gums can also become infected and start to bleed easily. Brushing your teeth thoroughly at least twice a day will help prevent the plaque and prevent tooth decay. Why do milk teeth fall? The teeth are hard bone-like structures implanted in the sockets of the jaws. There are 2 sets of human teeth. Milk teeth are those present during childhood and all are usually shed. Milk teeth can be divided into 3 categories: incisors, canines, and molars. By the age of 2.5 to 3, the child will usually have a complete 20 milk teeth. Subsequently, after the age of 6, the milk teeth become loose and are replaced by the permanent teeth. The falling of the milk teeth is due to the weakening of the root which holds the teeth. The root dissolves with the result that the milk teeth fall and are replaced by the permanent teeth. There appears a gap between the upper incisors. The gap tends to close when the permanent canines erupt. Did people use false teeth in ancient times? Evidence has been found in tombs in Italy that people used false teeth as long ago as 700 BC.